The other day I was on HBO, HBO Max, and they have this sub channel or subcategory on there, TCM Classic Movies, Turner Classic Movies. And I was kind of scrolling through that because all the stuff they're doing today is garbage, right? It sucks. Everything now is boring. Maybe not boring, lazily written. But I was on there, looking for something to watch because I'm old, and I've gotten to that age now where do you have grandparents that just watch old black and white movies from the 40s or the 50s? I think that's where I'm going now because whatever's getting made now, it's I don't know what it is. They make roller coaster rides now instead of movies. I could not be less interested in any more Marvel movies, superhero movies, Fast and Furious movies, Star Wars, Star Trek. It's just all the same stuff over and over and over again. No thanks. I'm not into it. So I'm going through the TCM catalog, and I see the original Tim Burton Batman. Oh man, I love that movie when I was a kid. I'm going to watch it now. I'll just put that on. Watch me some Batman. Old school Batman. And as I was watching it, I kind of had this realization. I discovered that I loved that movie when I was a kid, but now as an adult, I just like it. And it's weird. I started thinking about why that was. And I think what it really came down to is that it was not very strongly written. I'll explain. That's why I'm talking about this right now. There were things that were interesting about it for me, because I'm one of these people that tries to convince other people that they know what they're doing when they write a story. And I like to look at other stories and kind of break them apart, see what the pieces are that make them up, try to see if they fit well, or if they don't, why. And viewing Batman, it was like I was just watching events happen, but they didn't feel very connected to me. Like they didn't feel interconnected. Or I guess I could say that the events that were happening in the movie didn't really carry a whole lot of weight. Not for me. Well, let me just go through it. Instead of trying to explain my position, I'm just going to go through point by point. Fuck it. The first thing you have to understand is that this is 1989, okay? Comic book movies are not a normal thing yet. They've tried a couple of times. The really successful one being Superman. Christopher Reeve Superman. It was 1976. And I think they made an attempt at... there was a... What the fuck is that group called again? Fantastic Four. There was like a Fantastic Four attempt. There was a couple of Captain America attempts made, but nobody really took them seriously. So, I mean, right around the time this movie was made, a comic book film was still like a big gamble. It was considered kid stuff, and even if they were going to make them, you didn't see a lot of budget put into it. You didn't see the best directors, the best actors. They were made on the cheap. Or if they weren't made on the cheap, they looked cheap when they were done. I don't know the behind the scenes stuff on this really, but I guess around 1989 they got this director, Tim Burton. Warner Brothers was still willing to take some risk back then. So let's give this guy Batman. Let's make a serious Batman movie. And I say serious with quotes around it. Again, 1989. The general public at large, general, not comic book fans, thought of Batman as kind of a campy, goofball property. Because, you know, for people like me, up until that point, the only example we had of Batman was Adam West. You know, it's kind of like the Roger Moore of Batman, right? It's kind of like the least cool James Bond version for Batman. It's Adam West. The show was fun. It was cute. If you watch it as an adult, you probably laugh a lot harder at it than you did when you were a kid, because there's really good jokes in there, but it's grown-ass men in leotards. you can't take it seriously. You know what? You know where I first learned about 89 Batman coming out? It was in a copy of Nintendo Power. Nintendo was making a game based on the movie that wasn't out yet. And I saw like a promo shot of Keaton in the suit standing in front of the Batmobile. That was my first inclination that a Batman movie was happening. And I saw that picture, and right away my imagination took off. This was, oh man, that looks like a badass. That doesn't look like an out of shape middle-aged man in a leotard. That looks like somebody will fuck some people up. So I got really excited. That was hype back then. You got a magazine like once a month. You didn't have all these websites that would just dump constant streams of speculative diarrhea out into the digital stratosphere, hoping for clicks. And I think at the time, a lot of people, maybe they didn't get it. I know that there were a lot of folks that weren't excited about Michael Keaton being cast as Batman. And as a kid, it never occurred to me that it should be anybody but Michael Keaton. Because again, I didn't see a picture of Michael Keaton advertising Batman. I saw a picture of fucking Batman. I saw a dude in a suit that looked cooler than anything I'd ever seen in my life. So it's like, of course that's Batman. Obviously. But, you know, there were nerds back then, and they were all complaining about Mr. Mom being the Dark Knight. Later on, I found out about, you know, Miller doing Dark Knight and all that stuff. So I liked comics when I was a kid, but I was not a comic reader. I didn't follow storylines. I didn't keep up with what was going on with all the characters. I liked comics because I liked the pictures. Whenever I was in like a, I don't know, 7-Eleven or some store that had books, usually it was 7-Eleven. You could find comics in a 7-Eleven. You'd walk in there, they'd be on a rack. Whenever I wanted a comic, you know, my mom or my dad would get it for me because they figured, shit, he's reading something. And, you know, I'd read them a little, but I didn't know what the hell was going on because it wasn't like I was in it from issue 1. I'd randomly gotten like issue 32 of some story arc. And those old comics that they used to put in stores, they might have had like, I don't know, 9-10 pages of story with tons and tons of advertisements in between. And, you know, if you've got like a full splash page, well, shit, nothing's going on there. There's a really cool picture of somebody beating ass and maybe a couple balloons, but the story is not progressing. But I loved copying the pictures out of the comic books. I loved drawing when I was a kid, so that's why I wanted them. So I knew, okay, Batman looks cool in the comics. I don't see how you translate that into a real life interpretation. Because if you do a faithful interpretation of what you see in the comics, you get Adam West in a leotard. It looks silly. That was about what I understood of Batman. Outside of the fact that, you know, I thought he was cool. I thought a character that had all these you know, gadgets and weapons and all that. I thought that was awesome. And then before 89 and all the stuff that came out after that, I wasn't really aware that Batman was supposed to be, you know, this trained martial artist. In fact, when I was a kid in the books, they emphasized gymnastics a whole lot more. They always had pictures of Batman doing gymnastics on, you know, Olympic equipment, rings, uneven bars, pommel horse. And, you know, maybe there'd be like one panel saying, oh, and he also mastered judo, and there he was kicking Robin's ass or some shit. But the idea of Batman being a fighter first, athlete first, detective second, wasn't really how it was when I was young. He was a detective first, and all that other shit second. He, you know, get in a fight or whatever. So that was the first thing. It was like, we gotta fancy him up for this movie. We gotta make him an ass kicker, and maybe sometimes he'll do some detective work.
Well, boys and girls, you know what a password is. That's a secret word that soldiers use to get past the sentry and up to the front. Well, here's a password that will get you up to the front in bike races, on the baseball diamond, in all kinds of games. It's energy. You see, the faster you go, the more energy you need. So if you want to win, you have to have lots of energy. And the swellest way I know to get it is just by eating delicious chocolatey Tootsie Rolls. Boy, they're cram jam full of energy. There are more energy units in one penny Tootsie Roll than you use circling the bases 36 times, or when you're riding your bike 3 whole miles. And it's fast energy. Why, no sooner do you pop a Tootsie Roll in your mouth than you can practically feel new strength in your muscles. And what's more, Tootsie Rolls are good, wholesome food. They're made with plenty of nourishing bodybuilding milk. So next time you have a penny to spend, or a nickel, well, if you have a nickel, get the big jumbo-sized Tootsie Roll. And don't forget, the long-lasting penny Tootsie Rolls give you a lot for your money, too. A penny Tootsie Roll is still only a penny. A nickel Tootsie Roll is still 5 cents.
You got Gotham City getting ready for its bicentennial celebration. You've got the mayor, Mayor Borg, which, okay, Borg. He wants Harvey Dent, who is the district attorney, and he wants Commissioner Gordon, who is the police commissioner, to make the city safe for their celebration. So I guess, okay, the city's already dealing with lots of crime. And, you know, very, very simple. Well, we're going to have a celebration, so make the city safe. I would have thought that the mayor would be telling these guys the city should be safe ahead of that, but whatever. Also, Harvey Dent, man, that's Billy D. Williams in that movie. How pissed are old farts like me that we never got to see Lando Calrissian be Two-Face? God damn it. That's going on, the legal side of things. And then in the meantime, you've got the love interest, right? Vicky Vale, Kim Basinger, was just very hot back then. I don't mean like attractive hot. I mean like she was in a bunch of stuff then. She was a commodity. And oh, what the hell's his name? Playing Alexander Knox, right? The news guy. Wasn't it Robert Wool? Is that his name? Hilarious comedian, but kind of the Jar Jar Binks of this movie. He's I always, as a kid and as an adult, I always found him more obnoxious than anything. He was, I get what they were doing with him, but he always falls flat for me in that movie. Watch his history series, though. He's great in that. So you've got Vicky Vale and Alexander Knox work in the news department, and they want to do a story on this new Batman vigilante that's running around the city. Which, you know, this is weird about that movie, man. It's basically an origin story of Batman without the origin story. In this day and age, and you know, it's 2021 when I'm doing this. How many fucking origin stories of Batman have we seen so far? Right? Okay, they had it in the Nolan trilogy. I know we've seen it probably a dozen different times in the cartoons. We saw it in the Snyderverse because, you know, they were worried that everybody forgot about the whole parents shot in the alley thing. God damn it, I think they even provided the setup for Batman's origin story in Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. Stop it. We know what the origin story is. But then, you know, you've got this movie back in 1989 where before that, the last time we saw Batman, it was Adam West. And the origin story was like barely there. There was like one quick little flashback where you see it happening. But for the most part, you don't see Batman learning how to be Batman. You don't see him designing the suit and all that stuff. He's just kind of there, which honestly, why didn't they do that in the Snyderverse? Why didn't Batman just start out as being there? Why did we need to see his parents get shot up again? I don't know. I guess it's a different subject. All right, meantime, you got this mob boss in the movie. I think it seems to be a problem with these Burton Batman movies. They probably put too many characters into them that you gotta juggle all at once. You got this mob boss, Carl Grissom. He runs the criminal element of the city, I guess. And Jack Nicholson's Joker, Jack Napier, works for him. And right away, this is where my problems begin. First of all, the Joker in this movie is not scary. He's not threatening. He's a cartoon. It's Jack Nicholson having fun on camera. He's being silly. Because this is what crazy looks like. Before he becomes the Joker, he's menacing. He feels a little unhinged. He feels dangerous. He feels like he's barely keeping control of himself. And if you say the wrong thing or piss him off at the wrong moment, that's your ass. And then he becomes the Joker, and it's a laugh fest. And he's doing sight gags. You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses. He's got a cartoon like cap gun with a little bang flag coming out of it. Immediately he stops being scary. That's a problem. Then on top of that, I start asking myself about the motivations of this guy. Because I ask myself, what's driving this character? What does he care about? And I need to know this by just watching the movie. I need to be able to understand this without having to read comic books. Comic books are one thing. Books are one thing. The movie is the movie. Everything that you need to understand who the character is, where they're coming from, what they want to do, what's going on, that's got to be in the movie. You can't ask people to like look into some other expanded thing to understand. That's bullshit. That's give me more of your money. Nonsense. What's the Joker's reason for being in this movie? Why does he exist? He's kind of directionless, I think. They gave Batman, or at least Bruce Wayne, they gave him some good purpose. It's a little thin, but essentially, spoilers, for a movie that happened back in 1989, Jack Napier killed Bruce Wayne's parents. He's the guy. Coincidentally, randomly, he just happens to be the Joker later. Okay, cool. It still feels very comic booky. And, I don't know, I wonder, did they feel that this movie had to maintain its comic book roots when they made it? Like, we're going to try to do a serious Batman movie, but it still has to have that comic book DNA. Is that why the Joker has a joy buzzer on his hand and an acid squirting flower? Yeah, I don't know. It felt like they probably could have made a tighter story if they didn't feel like they had to, I don't know, honor those comic origins. Like there's core principles of the character that have to be there. You know what I mean? But you don't have to have a joy buzzer. An electrocuting joy buzzer. And then, if you look at the Joker's lair, it was very comic booky. It was how did this work in the movie? Jack Napier is a mob boss. He's a normal ass mob boss. He's got like a nice penthouse flat that he lives in the city somewhere. Dude's rolling in dough. He's got class. He's got nice looking decorations and stuff all over the place. He's kind of like a high end enforcer. Who seems to be motivated by nothing more than he wants to fuck the boss's wife or girlfriend or whatever. Insert blonde actress that is not quite Kim Basinger here. As far as I can tell, that's all he's into. Fuck the boss's wife. Don't get caught doing it. Done. After he gets dropped into a vat of acid, becomes a Joker, and then the next time you see him in his own place, his hideout, what's happened? It's festooned with purple fabrics and character appropriate color schemes. There's just all this whimsical shit everywhere that, well, he's the Joker. He has to have a Joker themed house. And I just picture either the Joker himself or his henchman Bob going down to like a Joann's Fabrics. I need all the purple you've got. Give me all the purple fabric. And also, do you have green and red paint and mannequins? Poor bastard had to load all that shit into a truck, bring it home, and like decorate the place for the Joker. Maybe the Joker was like, stay in this back room. You can't. It's going to be a surprise. The boys and I have gotten together. We want to do this nice thing for you because we feel really bad that some asshole in a bat suit dropped you into a vat of acid. Jesus. So that, that feels comic booky, and it seems a little out of place in a movie that starts out feeling very serious, and it kind of descends into camp as the thing progresses. And I think that's probably, outside of character motivation, it's also the tone. The tone falls apart as the thing continues, and it really, for me, just watching it as a grouchy old man, it deflates a lot of tension for me. Even like I can still remember back to watching this as a kid, and I wasn't worried for Batman. I didn't really feel any suspense at the end, the climax, the big fight, because it did. The tone was goofy by that point. The tension was deflated and the stakes were diminished. So, at the end, it just felt like, hey, we're going to watch Batman whoop some ass, get the girl, and that's going to be the end of it. There was no point where I thought to myself, how does he win? Because it was obvious. Batman goes and punches the guy in the face until he stops whatever it is he's doing. That's the solution. The Joker in that movie is weird. Maybe not weird, maybe thinly written. You don't really get the sense that he's into anything outside of, boss's girlfriend, or, you know what? Even more simple than that. He's into blondes, I guess. He gets turned into the Joker. He goes crazy. Apparently that's what crazy people do. They just laugh a lot. I get it. We always thought of the Joker as he's the guy that laughs a lot. He's the bad guy that laughs. So, Nicholson's doing a thing. But outside of that, what is it that he wants to do and why? He wants to poison the city, I guess, so that they all end up looking like him. And, then they die because, it's a nasty drug. Okay. That's not very interesting. I don't know who the character is based on that desire. I want to kill everybody. Okay, but why? My face looks weird. All right. I guess I understand that, but there's not really a lot to latch onto, is there? There's not a whole lot to explore. As far as just, is the character intriguing? Am I interested in what they're doing and why? And each new scene that he's in, it just feels like the Joker is going from one circumstance or decision to the next because the story needs to happen. It doesn't feel like he's doing anything that's important to him. At one point, you've got Batman, who's figured out now who the Joker is. He knows it's Jack Napier because he looked at this kind of old, I don't know, 50 or 60 something Joker smiling back at him through a TV monitor with a horribly disfigured face, and he's able to tell, oh, that it's this guy that I saw, back when I was, I don't know what, 9, 10. I can't remember what anybody looked like when I was 9 or 10 years old, but Batman, he's Batman. He remembers. He goes and he pulls the file on Napier, and apparently, like, Napier's good at chemistry. No explanation why. Did he go to college? Look, if you're going to be able to make a chemical compound that eludes all of the best specialists that come to study in a lab, right? Like, oh, the police have got it wrong. They're looking for one. They're looking for one product, but it's multiple products, and they need to be combined in certain variations, or they're totally benign. All right, that's next level chemistry shit right there. Okay, if you can devise something like that, it eludes all of the expert chemists that you come in to work on the problem. How do we work on a counter for this? How do we save people from this? But his shit, it's just whatever he came up with. It's a puzzle they cannot solve, right? You probably need a background that amounts to more than like a high school chemistry class, which I figure Jack Napier's a mob guy. Okay, so if we're looking at people in mafia organizations, there's a good chance he didn't finish high school. Maybe barely started it. You tend to start that life out early, is what I'm saying. And if you're starting that life out early, you're robbing cartons of cigarettes off the back of a truck, school is not a priority. Chemistry isn't something that you're just going to pick up because you're crazy smart, okay? And it's weird that they make that a trait of the Joker. He's a mob guy. Well, he was a mob guy. Now he's just a crazy pants. Why couldn't he have there could have been a whole scene where he goes out and kidnaps a chemist somewhere, like a really good chemist, and, oh, you work for me now, man, and drag him back. They even had a guy in the movie that looked like that. It was like this weird, this crazy Dr. Von Chemist character who's hanging out in the manufacturing plant, which also we could discuss the Joker's seemingly unlimited resources. Guy owns a whole factory. We don't know how he got it. It's just there because bad guys, they get a layer. It's just how it works. One day you become a supervillain. You show up at the headquarters for supervillains, the offices. They issue you your license and keys to whatever your lair is going to be, whether it's in the sewer or a chemical factory, some volcano, somewhere, volcano base. The Joker, his hideout was in a chemical factory. It was in Access Chemicals, right? It was in Access Chemicals? Wouldn't that place have been roped off by the police and, under an investigation after there was that big to-do there? One of the mob guys got dropped into a vat. They didn't find the body, obviously. If the terrorist attack on your city is of a chemical nature, it's chemistry, Don't you think the police would be following up some leads? Maybe they'd go look at, well, let me see. What location do we have in this city that has the ability to mass produce these chemical compounds that are showing up in all of our standard products and may be functioning as a supplier for all of these beauty companies? You know, the deodorants, the shampoo, the aftershave, the lipstick, the makeup. I'm assuming that you can go to each one of these companies. Like, you know, you go to Johnson & Johnson. Where are you getting your chemicals for this shit? Where's that shipping in from? Oh, Axis Chemicals? Okay, we should go follow up down there. Holy shit, Mick Clancy. Look at this room. It's covered in purple satin. Looks like the Joker's fuck chamber. Nothing in this movie makes sense, man. But okay, so the Joker has magic chemist abilities that are there for no reason. There's no background to explain why he'd have that. It doesn't mean anything outside of the fact of we need to explain how this guy poisoned all the beauty products. We need a throwaway line. So have Bruce Wayne looking at a police report that says, oh, wait a minute, he shows an aptitude for chemistry. You don't question why Batman is able to decode the chemistry problem because he's Batman. Even if they don't out and tell you in the movie, I mean, you can see the resources this dude has. First of all, he's a multimillionaire. He's got a bat cave. He's presumably found ways to get a direct line into the police's computer systems, I guess, in 1989. He was probably, you know, hacking in through his Matthew Broderick phone modem. He's got his ways. He's got his resources, okay? And we accept that because there is better than just a throwaway line saying Batman has things. You know, if Batman was just a dude in a warehouse somewhere and we didn't know that there was Bruce Wayne involved, we'd be asking questions. Like, where did you get that? Where'd that car come from? Who built him that car? Of course, you know, you kind of ask that question anyway. Just being a multi-millionaire doesn't mean you know how to build a bat plane. I'll bet he's got some killer non-disclosure agreements. So, the Joker, yeah. He wants to kill everybody in the city because his face is weird. Not to get too nerdy, but I feel like that is a fundamental misunderstanding of what the Joker probably should be. I say probably should because, you know, he's a fictional character. You can use him to represent whatever you need to, but in general, and then especially after the Nolan trilogy with what Ledger did, you know, you can say hindsight is 20/20, except that somebody had to decide to do this at some point. You could flex your creativity muscles a little bit harder and come up with this idea, even in '89, that the Joker is really fundamentally an agent of chaos. He's probably at his best when his goal is chaos. Jack Napier's Joker does not have that as a goal. He's not interested in chaos. He's interested in a slightly zanier version of, I'm going to control the city. I'm going to kill everybody in the city. Why? Okay, we don't really know. I have to assume because he's using this gas that makes everybody smile a lot, I have to assume that it has to do with some sort of misplaced revenge plot. I'm going to make everybody look like me. That's a problem. If the Joker is an agent of chaos, he does not care. He doesn't care what he looks like. He doesn't care that other people don't look like him. It's the same misunderstanding that was demonstrated with Jared Leto's Joker. All those tattoos. Okay, I get what that looks like visually. You know, we're gonna put some tattoos on him because he gotta look edgy, and we're gonna put the smile on his hand. We're gonna tattoo damaged across his forehead. Except there's a problem with that. If the Joker is an elemental agent of chaos, if the Joker has no self-regard or instinct of self-preservation, you can't have things like a damaged tattoo on your forehead. What are tattoos? They're an example of self-expression. That means that you're wearing your ideas on your skin because you want them to be seen. You care what people think when they look at you. You're putting meaning on your skin. It's there for interpretation. That image meant something to you, and you want to share it with others. Maybe you even want them to ask you questions about it so you can discuss it. Oh man, this barbed wire on my arm, it means so much to me. You know, I got caught in a fence one time when I was trying to fuck a cow. Or, you know, whatever. Maybe it says mom. But you don't get tattoos unless you care for other people to see them. Joker can't give a shit about what people think when they see him. At least I don't think he should. The Joker is at his best this elemental force of nature. And it's better if the more that's mysterious about him, I think, the better. Unless you really want to do a deep character study on the guy, in which case you're probably looking at something more like Joker. That's not a perfect movie. And I don't think it's a perfect portrayal. However, I think it's really good. I think it's really interesting. I think it's a lot better than Nicholson's portrayal. Which I don't fault Nicholson for. Again, I think that they felt like they had to make a comic book movie. Napier's Joker, at some point, fixates on Batman. He decides that Batman is going to become his nemesis. And the only reason he makes this decision is because Batman is getting more attention than him in the media. That's a problem for all the reasons I've just listed. Why would the Joker give a shit if Batman's getting more attention? I somehow doubt that the most impactful version of the Joker cares what's being said about him in the news. His ideas, however twisted they would be bigger than how much are they talking about me on the news. I think the perfect incarnation is the Ledger version, Nolan/Ledger. I think they created that character together. I think that's the perfect incarnation where the only thing that the Joker really believes in is chaos. And that's the only idea that he's interested in spreading, the application of chaos. The idea that we all come from a place of chaos and we can descend there very easily if the right pressures, if the right levers are applied. I think that is so much more powerful than I like that blonde chick and that guy gets more press coverage than I do. Especially considering that Ledger's Joker fixates upon Batman as the symbol of order. You know, the Joker's a fucking nutbag. Okay, this is my antithesis. Now I have to go and battle with him. And even at the end of that story, the Joker kind of decides, you know what? This is a lot more fun if Batman's around. There's something mythic about that. It's much more mythic than, you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, huh? Would you? Huh?